family and friends and fellow YouTubers, it's Kim here from Kim's Country Corner, and today I am out at the Hancock Homestead so that I can use John's kitchen, because the meal I want to fix for today is to celebrate my birthday. And I've been eating a lot of healthy foods lately, hence the weight loss. However, since it's my birthday, I have decided that I'm going to fix one of my favorite meals, and that is my German casserole. And I have not done this for a while, so I thought I would walk everyone through the steps, especially my daughters, in case they ever decide they might want to fix this for their families. So I have all the ingredients out that you're going to need, and it's just very, very simple. I call it the German casserole because this is a casserole that my mom used to fix all the time when we were kids. And she fixed it because my father loved this casserole, and his family and our ancestors on his side came from Germany. And actually the ancestors on my mother's side also came from Germany. My mother was a Stieferman and my father's name was Strauss, and so I have German on both sides. But my mom would call this the German casserole, and that's what I call it. I think if you were to Google this on the internet, you would find it under pork, cabbage, and potato casserole, because those are your three main ingredients, is pork, cabbage, and potatoes. And I like to use red potatoes because they stay firmer when I'm doing the casserole. And then to go with these three ingredients, I always add a white sauce. Now you can use a cream of soup, like cream of mushroom, cream of celery, cream of potatoes soup mix, and just add like half the milk it calls for, because you're not making a soup, you're making a gravy. However, I found it easier for me just to make the white sauce. And the recipe that I use for my white sauce is from the Betty Crocker's cookbook. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to start browning my pork chops. Now the pork chops you do not need to cook all the way through, because they will continue cooking in the roaster. But you do want them browned on each side. So let me get that started and then we'll go to the next step. Okay, so whenever I brown my pork chops, I just simply spray the pan with some cooking spray. And then I put in my pork chops. And I usually do 8. Okay, so for the pork chops, all you need to do is brown them on each side. And the way I do that is I just spray my pan with some cooking spray, and then I put my pork chops in to start browning. And I do like to use a meat tenderizer on them. Okay, so the first thing I usually do is I start with browning my pork chops. And all I do is spray my fry pan with some cooking spray. And then I put in my pork chops. And I usually try to use 8 pork chops. And Walmart was running low on pork chops the day I was in there. So I actually have 2 different kinds here. I have what's called a boneless chop. And then I have a center cut chop. But it doesn't really matter as long as you're using pork chops. And so then after I put them in the frying pan on a very low heat, I have this set to 3. I might turn it on up to 4 though. I'm going to go ahead and add some meat tenderizer to them. And to do that, you just simply... Oh, this is a flip top. Okay. So to do that, you just simply take a fork and poke some holes into your pork chop. And you sprinkle this on top. And you want to cover it completely, or I do anyway. Okay, so there are the pork chops. And remember, you don't have to cook them all the way through. You just have to brown each side. So, we'll see how these look. Yep, that's about all you need, is just like that. Just to give it some color, because they will continue cooking in the roaster. Okay? Alright, but those are looking pretty good. So now I'm going to brown that side. Alright, let's get you back on the tripod so I can explain the next step. Okay, and so then the next step, while you're waiting for your pork chops to brown, is to do your white sauce. And I always just use the recipe that's in the Betty Crocker's cookbook, and I use it so many times that I almost know it by heart. But I'm going to go ahead and just read it to you out of the cookbook. Okay, so the white sauce calls for 2 tablespoons of margarine or butter. And I always use butter because I just simply think butter tastes better. 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 1/8 teaspoon of pepper, and 1 cup of milk. Now that's how you make a basic white sauce. However, to do my casserole, I have to double everything. So for me, it's going to be 4 tablespoons of margarine or butter, and 4 tablespoons is actually a 1/2 stick. Okay? 4 tablespoons of the flour, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and 2 cups of milk, because I'm doubling what I need for my casserole. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this white sauce started. And the first thing you have to do is you have to have your butter melted. Alright. I don't really microwave it all the way, but I get it super soft. Okay. So I'm going to turn my front burner on to about a 5 here to get things started. Alright, so then to the melted butter you add your flour. Okay, and it called for 4 tablespoons. Or mine does, because I'm doubling it. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? And then a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So I'm only going to put this halfway full because this is a teaspoon here. Is that right? Yep. Alright, and then a 1/4 of a teaspoon of pepper. So just a little bit of pepper. Okay. Okay, and so then after you add the flour, the salt, and the pepper to the butter, you stir that together to make a paste. Alright, so let me bring you in to show you what this looks like. And that's what it looks like. Just a real thick paste. Okay? Alright, and then to that I'm going to add 2 cups of milk. Alright, so there's my 2-cup measuring cup. Okay, add that to that. Stir that up. Kind of chop up your paste so that blends into your milk. And just keep doing that until you get a gravy. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to work on chopping up my paste, mixing it in with my milk, and then I'll show you the gravy whenever I get it to that stage. So as I'm working the paste into the milk to make the gravy, I take my spoon and I just kind of mash it. Mash and stir. And it'll eventually work its way into the milk and thicken it up. Okay? So just kind of mash it against the bottom of your pan as you stir it. Alright, so let me bring this to a boil and boil it for a minute, and then I'll bring you in so you can see the actual gravy. Alright, so there's the gravy. I've stirred in the paste with the milk and I let it boil for 1 minute, and as you can see I have a nice, what they call a nice white sauce. Okay, I have a few chunks of flour in there as you can see. You can keep working those in. Alright, now we're ready to layer the casserole. We have our pork chops browned. We have our white sauce made. So let's get this casserole going. Alright, so to assemble the casserole, to put it together, very simple. You just take your cabbage wedges. This is 1 head of cabbage that's been cut into half, fourth, and then eighths. So I have 8 slices, okay? And I put them along the edge. Kind of laid on their sides. Okay, and then in the center I put the red potatoes. Okay, so for my casserole, I have 8 slices of cabbage, 8 red potatoes that have been peeled, and then 8 pieces of pork chop. This is what you call a piecemeal. These piecemeals were very popular during the Great Depression. May even become popular nowadays too, with everything that's going on in our country. But they were put together so that it would conserve food and people would understand that you got 1 piece of each thing so that it made your meal. 1 piece of cabbage, 1 piece of potato, 1 piece of meat. That was your piece meal. And people just understood that's my meal for this supper. And like I said, very popular for watching your food intake and conserving food. Okay, so then over the top of the potatoes and the cabbage, I am going to pour my white sauce. Now the thing with white sauce is if you get it thicker than you want it, you just add more milk. If you get it thinner than you want it, you add more flour. You know, you try to stay within the guidelines, but you know, you do what you have to do to make it stretch. So, and like, I'm going to add just a little bit more milk to mine to make it stretch a little bit further. So I'm just going to add just a drop of milk in there, like that. I'm going to stir up what's left in there to use up all that good gravy. And it will thicken, even though this isn't as thick as what I just poured on there, it will thicken as it cooks, okay? All right, so let me go ahead and use all that up. All right. When we were kids, and my mom would fix this, we didn't know to call it white sauce. We would always call it goop. And we would always tell Mom, hey Mom, we want some more goop. And we were actually talking about the white sauce gravy. Okay, and then over the top of this, I'm just going to place my pork chops. And the juices and the fats from the pork chops will just drip down into those cabbages and into those potatoes and add even more flavoring. And they will continue to cook. All right. Okay, and so then this is what it looks like when everything is in there, okay? Everything's just layered. All right, so now I'm going to put the lid on. I'm going to stick it into the oven. The oven has been preheated to 350 degrees, and I will cook this for an hour and a half. Okay, I think the recipes call for an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half. Mine always seem to take an hour and a half, so that's just what I set my timer for. All right, and I will bring you back whenever it's finished to show you the end results as I get ready to celebrate my birthday supper. Okay, friends, well, it's time to get the casserole out of the oven. It has been an hour and a half, so it's ready to come out. It's going to be super hot, so I'm going to go ahead and get out some of my mom's homemade placemats that she made out of yarn. Hot plates there. So I have something to set the casserole on. Oh yeah, it smells so good. Okay, so I'm going to take the pork chops out now and just put them in a pan by themselves. Okay, and then I'm going to take some Velveeta cheese and slice some over the top of this. Now, like I said, this part you can skip if you want, because you do have some white sauce to use as a gravy down in there, but I like mine with cheese. And John doesn't mind a little bit of cheese, so we'll put some all over. And just lay those slices in there. I tried to cover up a potato and a cabbage. Yeah, so that's how I do it. This cheese will eventually melt down in there. Okay, so now that I've got the cheese slices on the potatoes and the cabbage that I want, I'm going to go ahead and put the lid back on, cover it up. I'm just going to let that sit there for about 10 minutes, kind of absorbing the heat to melt the cheese, and then I'll be ready to dish up. Yum yum, cannot wait. Okay, so this is what the pork chops turned out to look like. Nicely tanned and finished up. And then my casserole in here is all ready to serve up. So I will get me a slice of cabbage here, and I will get me a potato. I probably will not eat that whole potato. In fact, let's just go ahead and cut that in half. Alright. And then a piece of the pork chop. Okay, friends, and so this is what the German casserole looks like. It's got cabbage, potato, and pork. Okay, so this is my birthday dinner. So I'm going to go and enjoy this. I want to thank Katie Bath for my new set of clothes that she bought me for my birthday. I appreciate that, Katie. And thank you to the rest of my family for all the well wishes on Facebook and all the phone calls. And happy birthday to my grandson Jeffrey. We share the same birthday. We will be having a big birthday party for all the family and a few close friends this weekend at a park. But tonight we're each celebrating in our own homes. And I just want to say happy birthday, Jeffrey, and thank you to family and friends for being there to support me through yet another year. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to know more about what's going on in my corner of the world, hit that subscribe button to Kim's Country Corner. Alright, talk to y'all later. Bye for now. And no, this is probably not the healthiest meal I could be eating, but it is my birthday meal, so I'm going to enjoy it. And be sure and stay tuned at the very end because I captured a little bit of nature tonight. Alright, talk to y'all later. Bye for now. So good.